Baron Trump's courteous request initially received mockery, but the atmosphere became suddenly tense when Melania entered. The morning sun bathed Pine Crest Financial Bank in downtown San Diego in a bright glow. Here, every surface shone, and a buzz of productivity filled the air. The tellers, dressed sharply, engaged in brief, professional exchanges as clients came and went with determination. Just before 10 a.m., the robust oak doors opened. A young man, tall and impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit and a crisp white shirt, entered. His polished shoes made a soft clicking sound on the marble as he moved confidently toward the front counter. His hair was perfectly styled, and his posture impeccable, exuding an aura of authority in an understated manner. As a young adult, Baron Trump approached the counter, his demeanor calm and confident, a result of his familiarity with the spotlight, though he displayed no pretense. "Good morning," he greeted the teller, Sandra H., politely and with a steady voice. "I'd like to open a new account, please." Sandra, barely looking up, assessed him with a mix of disinterest and skepticism. "Do you have an appointment?" she inquired, her tone terse. "No," Baron conceded, maintaining his polite smile. "But I was informed I could speak with someone about setting up an account today." Sandra sighed loudly, tapping her pen on the counter. Her gaze lingered on him, perhaps contemplating if he merited her time. Behind her, two colleagues exchanged looks and suppressed laughter at a muttered comment. Despite sensing the changing mood, Baron remained composed. "Is there someone available to assist me?" he asked, his calm slightly wavering. Sandra met his gaze with a newfound hint of disdain. "We're quite busy today," she stated bluntly. "You might want to schedule an appointment next time. We don't cater to walk-ins." Baron's lips tightened slightly as he pulled a sleek leather portfolio from his jacket. "I have all the necessary documents here," he stated, his politeness now tinged with assertiveness. "It should only take a few minutes." Sandra glanced briefly at the portfolio before exhaling sharply. "Look," she lowered her voice, "this isn't a place where you can just walk in and expect immediate service. We serve a specific type of client." Her words were cloaked in an air of professionalism, but laced with underlying assumptions. Though dripping with judgment, Baron didn't flinch. "I understand," he replied, his voice measured, "but I believe this is precisely the place I'm seeking." Still, Sandra remained unyielding, waving vaguely towards the exit. "You might find another branch more accommodating," she suggested. Yet, what unfolded next would ensure that this day would linger in the memories of everyone present. The atmosphere in the bank grew tense as Sandra's dismissive remarks resonated through the silent lobby. Baron stood his ground, his composure intact. His gaze briefly met that of the other employees behind the counter, who were now not so discreetly whispering and snickering, clearly entertained by the situation. One of them, a young man wearing a name tag that read Kyle M., leaned closer to Sandra and murmured a comment that coaxed a smug grin onto her lips. Sandra faced Baron again, tilting her head, assessing him anew. "Listen," she began, her voice now taking on a condescending tone, "this isn't a place that handles casual walk-ins. Perhaps you misread the sign when you entered." Baron's eyebrows knitted together slightly. "I'm sorry, did I overlook something?" he inquired, his voice still calm but edged with incredulity. Kyle, who had been listening in, suddenly spoke up. "Yeah, buddy," he declared, loud enough for the others to hear, "this isn't the type of bank where you can just walk in and expect to be offered a free checking account. You need to, meet certain standards." Baron turned his attention to Kyle, his expression remaining neutral, though his stance became a bit more rigid. "I see," he responded, his tone even. "And what might those qualifications be?" Kyle shrugged, leaning back in his chair with a conceited smirk. "Let's just say, the type of clients we usually serve don't come in without an appointment. Sandra laughed softly, clearly encouraged by her colleague's comment. Exactly, she added. We maintain a certain standard here. It's nothing personal, of course. Barron inhaled deeply, scanning the lobby. The other customers were now covertly observing the exchange, their interest piqued. A few exchanged uneasy glances, but none intervened. Turning back to Sandra, Barron's jaw tightened subtly. "I understand you're busy," he stated, his voice firm. Her presence alone intensified the atmosphere. "I understand everyone is busy," she began, her tone even yet commanding, "but surely, accommodating a simple request from a customer isn't too much to ask." Her words hung in the air, a clear challenge to the dismissive treatment her son had just experienced. Barron watched as his mother handled the situation with a finesse that only she could muster. Her confidence seemed to radiate, influencing the room's dynamics almost instantly. Sandra, now struggling to maintain her earlier poise, nodded meekly. "Of course, Mrs. Trump. We'll make sure your son receives the assistance he needs right away," she managed to say, her voice a mix of respect and embarrassment. Melania's gaze softened slightly, acknowledging Sandra's concession, but her expression remained serious. "Thank you," she said, her attention briefly shifting back to Barron, who gave her a small, appreciative nod. Turning back to Sandra, Melania continued, "I would appreciate it if you could ensure that no one else receives such a discouraging welcome in the future." Kyle, who had been a silent spectator since Melania's entrance, now looked visibly shaken. He mumbled an apology, sorry for any inconvenience we may have caused, his voice barely audible. Melania acknowledged his apology with a nod before glancing around the lobby, her eyes meeting those of other employees and a few customers who had watched the scene unfold. With the situation seemingly under control, Melania turned back to Barron, her demeanor shifting from the authoritative figure to the supportive mother. "Let's ensure your account is set up properly," she suggested, her voice softer but still filled with the unspoken assurance that she would not tolerate any further disrespect towards her son. As they approached the counter together, the bank staff scrambled to provide the best possible service, their earlier hesitation replaced by an eagerness to appease. The rest of the customers in the bank continued to steal glances, the earlier tension replaced by whispered conversations about the unexpected turn of events. Barron's initial disappointment had morphed into a quiet triumph, thanks to his mother's timely intervention. The earlier atmosphere of disdain and skepticism had been completely overturned by Melania's poised and decisive handling of the situation, leaving an indelible mark on everyone present. "Here today," but Melania's gaze stopped her mid-sentence. "I would expect the manager to be informed about this situation as soon as possible," Melania insisted, her voice still composed yet imbued with an unmistakable firmness. Sandra nodded, flustered. "Yes, of course, Mrs. Trump. I'll ensure the manager receives a full report," she stammered, her earlier confidence shattered. The bank's lobby, usually a hub of controlled activity, remained unusually quiet, the tension palpable as every employee seemed to hold their breath. Melania's scrutiny shifted briefly around the room, her presence commanding respect and instilling a sense of urgency among the staff. "I would also appreciate a follow-up contact from your manager," she added, ensuring accountability was maintained. "It's important that we address how customers are treated to prevent a recurrence of today's events." The other bank staff, who had silently observed the confrontation, now seemed eager to distance themselves from the discomfiture of their colleagues. They busied themselves with their tasks, avoiding eye contact with Melania and the humiliated pair at the counter. Barron, who had watched the scene unfold with a mix of admiration and relief, felt a renewed sense of respect for his mother's ability to handle the situation with such dignity and authority. He knew that her intervention not only addressed the immediate issue, but also set a precedent for how he and perhaps others would be treated in the future. As Melania concluded her interaction, she placed a gentle hand on Barron's shoulder, giving him a slight nod, signaling it was time to leave. They turned together, walking towards the exit with their heads held high, leaving a silent crowd behind, still processing the lessons learned from the encounter. The doors swung closed behind them, and the heavy atmosphere began to lift slowly as the bank staff resumed their duties, this time with a heightened awareness of their conduct and the importance of every customer interaction. The event, while uncomfortable, had imparted a crucial reminder of the standards expected in a professional setting, echoing long after the Trumps had departed. But witnessing his mother defend the principle of respect with such resolve only deepened his appreciation for her values. He understood more clearly than ever that integrity and respect were paramount, transcending status or recognition. Melania's final words lingered in the air, a profound reminder to all present. "Let this be a lesson," she concluded, her gaze sweeping across the room. "How you treat others is a testament to your own professionalism and humanity. Ensure it is always with respect, regardless of who you think they are." With those parting words, Melania prepared to leave. She gave BARRON one more comforting look, signaling it was time to depart. As they walked toward the exit, the atmosphere in the bank had transformed. The staff members, previously marked by their disdain, now showed a quiet respect, reflecting on the encounter that had unfolded. Outside, the sky was clear, and as BARRON and Melania stepped into the sunlight, the tension of the bank's interior seemed to dissolve. They walked side by side, a son proud of his mother's unwavering principles, and a mother assured of her son's resilience in the face of adversity. This moment would not soon be forgotten by anyone at Pine Crest Financial Bank. The staff, chastened and reflective, would remember the importance of treating every individual with respect and professionalism. For BARRON, it was an affirmation of the values instilled in him, and for Melania, a successful stand for dignity in an everyday setting, proving that leadership is not just about authority, but also about integrity and respect. In this pivotal moment, BARRON was reminded of the enduring values his mother had always instilled in him: respect, grace, and standing for what is right. Michael, the branch manager, stepped forward, eager to alleviate the tension. "Mrs. Trump, please let us rectify this situation," he implored with sincerity. "We'll make sure it never recurs, and Mr. Trump, we'd be honored to help you open your account today." Melania's expression softened slightly as she fixed her gaze on him. "Ensure that you do," she responded, then turned to BARRON to ask, "Would you like to go ahead?" Hesitating briefly, BARRON glanced at Sandra and Kyle. Their former confidence had evaporated, leaving them visibly subdued. Turning to his mother, he smiled slightly and simply said, "Yes." As Michael led BARRON to his office, Melania addressed the staff one last time with a poignant message. "Remember, never judge someone based on your assumptions. It's a mistake you'll want to avoid repeating." Following this, she joined BARRON, leaving a hushed room behind. Sandra and Kyle remained in stunned silence as colleagues and clients whispered among themselves. The bank collectively sighed, relief washing over as the tension dissolved. Yet, as the office doors shut, the profound lesson imparted remained palpable in the air, underscoring that respect and humility are essential. Inside the manager's office, the atmosphere was contemplative. BARRON sat opposite Michael, who meticulously went over the paperwork, his hands still trembling slightly. Melania, standing nearby, maintained her composed demeanor, her presence now more educational than confrontational. When Michael offered BARRON the pen to sign the documents, BARRON paused and looked at him. "I hope everyone learns from this," he said thoughtfully. "The way you treat others reflects more on you than on them." Michael agreed, his tone earnest. "Absolutely, and I apologize for our initial conduct. It won't recur." BARRON signed the documents, stood, and offered his hand to Michael, who shook it, feeling the gravity of the moment. Melania nodded approvingly, then turned to exit with her son. As they walked through the lobby, transformed by the day's events, the staff averted their eyes, embarrassed, while other clients offered supportive nods and smiles. Just before leaving, Melania paused and addressed the staff with a parting thought. Today was more than about an account. It was about integrity. Keep that in mind the next time someone walks in. Without waiting for a response, she left with BARRON. The SUV awaited outside, and as BARRON got in, he turned to his mother. "You didn't have to do all that," he said, his smile tinged with gratitude. Melania, touching his shoulder gently, replied, "It's not just about you. It's about teaching others to better themselves and others." As the SUV drove away, the bank staff remained, pondering the day's lessons. This story extends beyond just BARRON or Melania. It's a lesson for us all. It reminds us that our actions and words are significant when interacting with others. Judging someone based on appearance or assumptions not only harms them, but also reflects our own flaws. The moral is clear. Treat everyone with dignity. You never know their full story. If you believe in promoting respect and fairness, share this story to inspire change and understanding. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspirational tales. Let's make kindness the norm, not the exception. Glowing star, if this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Let's spread the message of kindness and understanding together. Glowing star. Thumbs up, like, bell, subscribe, writer or share. Together, let's make kindness the standard, not the exception. Handshake.